Hey, how you doing? This is Tom. This is Tom's Radio Room Show. Boy, I'm struggling with shortwave right now. Even though the solar flux index is a little higher, I'm just struggling with shortwave. So there's other things that you can listen to on your radios besides shortwave, and one of those is amateur radio satellites and NOAA weather satellites. Now, the amateur radio satellites, this is a great page for information about all that stuff. It's ka7bv.net. And here is information and schedules and everything about these satellites. If we go to the satellite page, here is a listing of the satellites that are active on the amateur radio bands. And you can see there's a ton of them. It tells you the satellite name, the number, the frequency for transmitting up, transmitting and listening to hear the transmissions coming down. If you have a one of those license, oh God, it's too early in the morning. Well, actually, it's not too early in the morning. I usually get up about 3 o'clock in the morning, so it's not too early. I don't have any excuse. Anyway, if you have an amateur radio license, you can use these satellites to communicate with other amateurs throughout the world. So as these satellites are coming overhead, you transmit to them, and then it repeats your transmission back down from the advantage of being way up in the sky. And so it goes throughout the world, and other amateurs who have this satellite overhead for them can receive your transmission and talk back to you. And you can even talk to the astronauts. The International Space Station has an amateur radio station on board, and quite often, not real often, but quite often, one of the astronauts will use that radio and talk to people on the ground. I did that many years ago. I had some special antennas, so I had a really strong signal going up, and I was able to do that. I got a little letter that said that I accomplished that. This was many years ago. That was pretty exciting for me anyway. The other thing you can do is you can, before I leave this, here's a website. It's called the AMSAT Oscar Satellite website. It's amsat.org. And here is one of their pages, and this is the status page of all the amateur radio satellites that are orbiting up there now. And a blue indicates that there's been activity on that satellite, and this is just within the past week or so. So you can see a lot of these satellites are active. So unlike shortwave stations that are kind of fading away, this is getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and they keep putting more and more amateur radio satellites up there. You can see there's probably 25. So you can, if you have a satellite license and you have the proper equipment, you can talk to people throughout the world via these satellites. If you don't, you can use your scanner radio or your SDR, and you can listen to these satellites. You can listen to the astronauts talking to like a school. An amateur radio operator will go to a school with his equipment, set it up, and then they will schedule a session with the astronauts to talk to the kids. Isn't that cool? So check that out. Let me go back to this page here. And so that's what you can do in there. The other thing I mentioned, you can talk to, whoops, I clicked on the wrong thing. You can listen to the NOAA weather satellites. And they're in the 137 megahertz band. And you can improve your reception by using an antenna like this. Now I got rid of it. I had an antenna like this. And unfortunately, it died over the years, so I don't have it anymore. But you don't have to have this special antenna. This just helps a lot. And you can use your scanner radio, or your SDR would be better. and listen to these satellites passing overhead. And they are transmitting constantly weather images. Let me show you what I'm talking about right here. They're transmitting these weather maps, I'll call them. And you can receive those and decode them. I did that for many years too. I even had a website where once the decoding software decoded the transmission, it would post it on my website. I think I still have that website out there someplace in the ether. Anyway, going back to here, to here. So you can do that. Down here, there's some links to some resources. Like this is one of the tracking programs I used to capture the transmission and decode the image real time. And I think this one, it may not have been this one, it may have been another one, but one of them I had would then, once it finished the decoding, it would automatically upload it to my website. That was pretty cool. I have to see if I can find out if that website still exists. Anyway, check that out. It gives you something else to do when your HF band is kaput. Mine, a couple of times this week I thought my radio or my antenna was broken because there was not even noise. It was just flatlined. I don't know. It'll get better. Oh, one last thing is I have set up a Facebook page. Now, I'm not a real fan of Facebook. I got into Facebook because that's the only way I can communicate with my two daughters. They don't call me anymore. So I'm on Facebook. That's the main reason. Also, there are some good pages, Facebook pages about amateur radio, about radios and stuff like that. So I decided maybe this is one thing I can use to do something that I probably shouldn't do on YouTube. And so I've set that up. Check it out. It's called Tom's Radio Room Show. Yeah, it's kind of a catchy name. Check it out. And we're doing special things there that we're no longer doing on YouTube. Have a great day. Bye-bye.